शुद्धोदकस्नानं समर्पयामि। नमः गं महागणपतये नमः। पञ्चामृतमयानीतं पयोदधिकृतं मधु शर्करा समायुक्तं स्नानार्थं प्रतिगृह्यतां। महागणपतये नमः। गंगे च यमुने चैव गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदा सिंधु कावेरी जलेऽस्मिन् सन्निधिं कुरु। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गे सुस्थवागं स्वस्तिनोभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः। महागणपतये नमः। ॐ यज्ञोपवीति धारयामि नमः। भद्रों नम नमस्ते गणपतये त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यं मृतं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि अवत्वमाम् अवभक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवधातारम् अवधातारम् अवानुचानमशिष्यम् अवपश्चातात् अवपुरस्तात् अवाचोतराथात् अवादक्षिणातात् अवाचोढ्वातात् अवाधरातात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात्। त्वं वाङ्मयस्त्वं चिन्मयः त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयो वसि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयो वसि। सर्वं जगदिदं त्वत्तो जायते सर्वं जगदिदं त्वदष्टिष्ठति सर्वं जगदिदं त्वयलयमेष्यति सर्वं जगदिदं त्वयि प्रत्येति। त्वं भूमिरापो नलो त्वं चत्वारि वाक्पदानि त्वं गुणत्रयातीतः त्वं देहत्रयातीतः त्वं कालत्रयातीतः त्वं मूलाधारस्थितोऽसि नित्यं त्वं शक्तित्रयात्मका त्वं योगिनो ध्यायन्ति नित्यं त्वं ब्रह्मास्त्वं विष्णुस्त्वं रुद्रस्त्वं इन्द्रस्त्वमग्निस्त्वं वायुस्त्वं सूर्यस्त्वं चन्द्रमास्त्वं ब्रह्मा भूर्भुवास्वरों गणाधीं पूर्वमुच्चार्य वर्णादीं तदनन्तरं हनुस्त्वार परतरः अर्धेन्दुतुलसितं तारेण रुद्धं मे तत्तव मनुष्यरूपं यकारः पूर्वरूपं मकारो मध्यमरूपं हनुस्वार्यश्चान्त्यरूपं विन्धुरुत्तररूपं नादः सन्धानां संहिता सन्धिः श्रीशैषा गणेशविद्यां गणकऋषिः निचिद्गायत्री छन्दः श्रीमहागणपतिर्देवता। ॐ गं गणपतये एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्ति प्रचोदयात्। एकदन्तं चतुर्हस्तं पाशमं कुशधारणम् अभयं वरदं हस्ते बिभ्राणामूषकध्वजं रक्तं लम्बोदरं शूर्पकर्णकं रक्तावाससं रक्तगन्धानुलिप्ताङ्गं रक्तपुष्पे सुपूजितं भक्तानुकाम्पिनं देहं जगत्कारणमच्युतम् आविर्भूतं चाशिष्टारो प्रकृतिपुरुषात् परम् एवं ध्यायन्ति यो नित्यं स योगी योगिना वरा। ॐ नमो व्रातपतये नमः प्रमथपतये नमस्ते अस्तु लम्बोदराय एकदन्ताय विघ्नविनाशिने शिवसुताय श्रीवरदमूर्तये गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बोफलचारुभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि मुदाकरादमोदिकं सदा विमुक्तसाधकं कलाधरावतंसकं विलासलोकरक्षकम् अनायकैकनायकं विनाशते वदैत्यकं नताशुभाशुनाशकं नमामि तं विनायकं। बोल गणपति भगवान की। ओम कलशस्य मुखे विष्णुकण्ठे रुद्रा समासिताः मूले तस्या स्थितो ब्रह्मा मध्ये मातृगणस्मृताः कूक्षौ तु सागरा सर्वसप्तदीपवसुन्धरा ऋग्वेदोऽथ यजुर्वेदो सामवेदो यथर्वण अङ्गैश्च सहिता सर्वे कलशं तु समाश्रिताः सरिता सागरा शैला स्थिरतानि जलदानदा आयन्तु यजमानस्य दूरतक्षयकारका ॐ श्री वं वरुणाय नमः ॐ वं वरुणाय नमः ॐ वं प्रचेतसे नमः ॐ वं स्वरूपिणे नमः ॐ वं अपाम्पते नमः ॐ वं जलाधिपतये नमः ॐ वं पाशहस्ताय नमः ॐ वं तीर्थराजाय नमः ॐ वं कलिमणिभूषणाय नमः ॐ ऋग्वेदाय नमः ॐ यजुर्वेदाय नमः ॐ सामवेदाय नमः ॐ अथर्ववेदाय नमः ॐ इतिहासाय नमः ॐ पुराणाय नमः ॐ वेदव्यासाय नमः ॐ वसिष्ठाय नमः ॐ पुराणाय नमः ॐ वेदव्यासाय नमः ॐ तीर्थराज भगवान वरुण देवता की जय। धूपमाग्रापयामि नमः वनस्पतिरसोद्भूतो गन्धाढ्यो गन्धोत्तमः आग्रह सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृहताम् धूपं दीपं दर्शयामि चन्द्रमामनसो जात चक्षो सूर्यो अजायत श्रोत्राद्वायुश्च प्राणश्च मुखादग्निरजायत धूपं दीपं नैवेद्यं प्राणाय स्वाहा पानाय स्वाहा व्यानाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा आचमन्यं ताम्बूलं समर्पयामि नमः ॐ ताम्बूलफलं जतुभ्यं समर्पयामि नमः दक्षिणां कर्पूरनीराजनं ज्योति कदलीगर्भादिसम्भूतं कर्पूरां च प्रदीपितं हारातिक्यमहं कुर्वे पश्य मे वरदो भवम् कर्पूरनीराजनं ज्योतिः ॐ वं वरुणाय नमः कर्पूरनीराजनं ज्योतिः ॐ प्रार्थना ॐ अस्य श्रीवरुणाय नमः ॐ देवदानवसंवादे मत्यमानो महोदधौ उत्पन्नौ सुतदा कुम्भो विद्धृतो विष्णुना स्वयं ततो ये सर्वतीर्थानि देवा सर्वे त्वयि तितां त्वयि तिष्ठन्ति भूतानि त्वयि प्राणा प्रतिष्ठिता शिवस्वयं त्वमेवासि विष्णुस्त्वं च प्रजापतिम् आदित्यावसवो रुद्रा विश्वे देवा सपैत्रिकां सान्निध्यं कुरु मे देवा प्रसन्नो भव सर्वदा हिरण्यसिंहं वरुणं प्रबध्यं तीर्थं मे देहि याचिता यन्मया भूक्तं साधूनां पापे वयश्च प्रतिग्रह यन्मे मनसा वाचा कर्मणा वा दुष्कृतं कृतं तन्ना इन्द्रो वरुणो बृहस्पति सविता च पुनन्तु पुनः पुनः। बोले वरुण भगवान की तीर्थराज भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। You can come closer. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। बोले श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की, विष्णु भगवान की, नारायण भगवान की जय. So we give thanks to Bhagavan Krishna. Today is a very special day for Hindus, Gita Jayanti, and we bow to Bhagavan Krishna for bringing this beautiful song of the divine, this word of the Gita, to the ears of Arjuna. Arjuna is all of us, and seek his blessings today, and ask that as we read the Gita, as we preach the Gita, as we teach the Gita, let us also live and continue to live the Gita today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namaha. Vasudevasutam Devam Kansachanurmardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Planata Kleshanashaya Shri Govindaya Namo Namaha. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Shri Govindaya Namo Namaha. Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalananda Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhukta Dugdham Gita Mritam Mahat. Shri Krishnaya Namaha. Dhyanam Samarpayami Namaha. Avahanam Samarpayami.
तच्छन्यो रावृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये देवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः उध्वञ्च गातु भेषजं सन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शं चतुष्पदे. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ओम्. ॐ सहस्रशीर्षः पुरुषः सहस्राक्ष सहस्रपात् स भूमिं विश्वतो वृत्वा अत्यतिष्ठद्दशाङ्गुलं पुरुष ये वेदगं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यम् उतामृतत्वस्येषानः यदन्नेनातिरोहति. एतावानस्य महिमा अतो जागश्च पूरुषः पादोऽस्य विश्वभूतानि त्रिपादस्यामृतं दिवि त्रिपादूर्ध्व उदैत्पुरुषः पादोऽस्येहा भवात् पुनः ततो विश्वं व्यक्रामत् शासनानशने अभि तस्माद्विराजजायत विराजो अधिपुरुषः स जातो अत्यरिच्यत पश्चात् भूमिमतो पुरः यत्पुरुषेण हविषा देवा यज्ञवतन्वत वसन्तो अस्यासीदाज्यं ग्रीष्म इद्म शरद्धविः सप्तास्यासन् परिधयः त्रिसप्त समिधः कृताः देवा यद्यज्ञं तन्वानाः अवद्नन् पुरुषं पशुं तं यज्ञं बर्हिषि प्रोक्षन्न पुरुषं चातमग्रतः तेन देवा अयजन्त साध्या ऋषयश्च ये तस्मात् यज्ञा सर्वहुतः स सम्भृतं पृच्छदाज्यं पशुगस्तागश्चक्रे वायव्यान आरण्यान् ग्राम्याश्च ये तस्माद्यज्ञा सर्वहुतः रजः सामानि जग्निरे छन्दागुंसि जग्निरे तस्माद्यजुस्तस्मादजायत तस्मादश्वा अजायन्त ये केचोभयादतः गावो हजग्निरे तस्माज्जाता अजावयः यत्पुरुषं व्यदधुः कतिधाय कल्पयन् मुखं किमस्य कौ बाहु कावूरुपादावुच्येते ब्राह्मणोऽस्य मुखमासीत् बाहुराजन्यः कृतः ऊरु तदस्य यद्वैश्यः पद्भ्यागुं शूद्रो अजायत चन्द्रमा मनसो जातः चक्षुः सूर्यो अजायत मुखादन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च प्राणाद्वायुरजायत नाभ्यः आसीदन्तरिक्षं शीर्ष्णोऽध्यो समवर्तत पद्भ्यां भूमिर्दिशश्रोत्रात् तथा लोकागुम् अकल्पयन् वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसस्तु पारे सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वाभिवदन् यदास्ते धाता पुरस्ताद्यमुदा जहार शक्रप्रविद्वान् प्रतिशश्चतस्रः तमेवं विद्वानमृत यः भवति नान्यः पन्था अयनाय विद्यते यज्ञेन यज्ञमयजन्त देवाः तानि धर्माणि प्रथमन्यासन् ते हनाकं महिमानः सचन्ते यत्र पूर्वे साध्या सन्ति देवाः अभ्यः सम्भूतपृथिव्यैरसा च विश्वकर्मणः समवर्तताधीं तस्य त्वष्टा विदधद्रूपमेति तत्पुरुषस्य विश्वमाजानमग्रे वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात् तमेवं विद्वानमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था विद्यते यनाय प्रजापतिश्चरति गर्भे अन्तः अजायमानो बहुधा विजायते तस्य धीराः परिजायन्ति योनिं मरीचीनां पदमिच्छन्ति वेधसः यो देवेभ्यः आतपति यो देवानां पुरोहितः पूर्वो यो देवेभ्यो जातः नमो रुचाय ब्राह्मये रुचं ब्राह्मं जनयन्तः देवा अग्रे तदब्रुवन् यस्त्वैवं ब्राह्मणो विद्यात् तस्य देवा असंवसे ह्रीश्चते लक्ष्मीश्च पत्न्यो अहोरात्रे पार्श्वे नक्षत्राणि रूपम् अश्विनौ व्याप्तम् इष्टं मनिषाणाम् अमुं मनिषाणां सर्वं मनिषाणाम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ सहस्रशीर्षं देवं विश्वाक्षं विश्वशम्भुवं विश्वं नारायणं देवम् अक्षरं परमं पदं विश्वतः परमान्नित्यं विश्वं नारायणगुं हरिं विश्वमेवेदं पुरुषस्तद्विश्वमुपजीवति पतिं विश्वस्यात्मेश्वरगुं शाश्वतगुं शिवमच्युतं नारायणं महाज्ञेयं विश्वात्मानं परायणं नारायणपरो ज्योतिरात्मा नारायणः परः नारायणः परब्रह्म तत्त्वं नारायणः परः नारायणपरो ध्याता ध्यानं नारायणः परः यच्च किञ्चित् जगत्सर्वं दृश्यते श्रूयतेऽपि वा अन्तर्बहिश्च तत्सर्वं व्याप्य नारायणस्थितः अनन्तमव्ययं कविगुं समुद्रेन्तं विश्वशम्भुवं पद्मकोशप्रतीकाशगुं हृदयं चाप्यधोमुखम् अधोनिष्ठावितस्यान्ते नाभ्यामुपतिष्ठति ज्वालमालाकुलं भाति विश्वस्यायतनं महत् सन्ततगुं शिलाभिस्तुलं भत्याकोशसन्निभं तस्यान्ते सुशिरगुं सूक्ष्मं तस्मिन् सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितं तस्य मध्ये महानग्निर्विश्वाचिर्विश्वतो मुखः सोग्रभुग्विभजन् तिष्ठन्नाहारमचरः कविः तिर्यगुर्ध्वमधः सायी रश्मयस्तस्य सन्ततं सन्तापयति स्वं देहमापादतलमस्तकः तस्य मध्ये वह्निशिखा अनीयो ऊर्ध्वा व्यवस्थितः नीलतो यदमध्यस्थादिद्दिल्लेखेव भास्वर नीवारशूकवत्तन्वी पीताभा आस्यत्वनूपमा तस्या शिखाया मध्ये परमा आत्मा व्यवस्थितः स ब्रह्मः स शिवः स हरिस्सेन्द्रः सोऽक्षरः परमस्वरात् ऋतगुं सत्यं परब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् उद्धरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वे नमो नमः। ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात्। ीरसोद्भूतो गन्धाद्यो गन्धोत्तम आग्रहः सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम् जपत्यसन्युक्तं वह्ना योजनं दीपं गृहाण देवेश त्रैलोक्यतिमिरापहम्। ते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो 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 भगवते वासुदेवाय नमः।
जो मिटाना चाहे जीवन की तृष्णा, जो मिटाना चाहे जीवन की तृष्णा, सुबह शाम भोले बने कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण, सुबह शाम भोले बने कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण। जो मिटाना चाहे जीवन की तृष्णा,
प्रेम से बोलो श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय। श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। भवानी शंकर भगवान की जय। श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधार। बरनो रघुवर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारि। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार। बल बुद्धि विद्या तेहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। राम जी से राम राम कहियो कहियो जी हनुमान जी। राम जी से राम राम कहियो कहियो जी हनुमान जी। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर। जय कपीस
तिरु लोक उजागर। राम दूत तुलित बलधामा। अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी। कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा। कानन कुंडल कुंजित केसा। हाथ भद्र और ध्वजा विराज। कान्हे मूंज जनेऊ साज।
शंकर सुबल केसरी नंदन। तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर। राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित सुनिबे को रसिया। राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावे। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे।
रामचंद्र के लाल सवार।
लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए। श्री रघुवीर हर्ष उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई। तुम मम प्रिय भरत समाई। ओ राम जी से राम राम कहियो कहियो जी हनुमान जी।
राम जी से राम राम कहियो कहियो जी हनुमान जी।
सहस बदन तुम्हरो यश गावे। अस कहि श्रीपति
धन्य लगावे।
सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा। नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते। कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा। राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना। लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु।
लीलो ताहि मधुर बल जान।
प्रभु मुद्रिका मिलि मुख माहि। जल्दी लागी गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते।
सुगम अनुग्रह तुम रे तेते।
राम तुम्हारे तुम रखवारे। होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे।
सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरण। तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना।
आपन तेज समारो आपे। तीनों लोक हाकते
कापे
भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे। महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। राम जी से राम राम कहियो कहियो जी हनुमान जी। राम जी से राम राम कहियो
कहियो जी हनुमान जी।
नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा।
जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीर।
संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे।
मन क्रम भजन ध्यान जो लावे।
सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा।
जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा।
और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे। तासु अमित जीवन पावन तनय संकट हरण मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय में बसहूँ सुरभूप सिया भज रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। बोले बजरंगबली भगवान की जय हो। ओम जय श्री कृष्णा, जय श्री राम। My pranam to all of you and welcome to Gita Jayanti satsang at the temple Bhavani Shankar Mandir. Today marks the 5,159 years ago since Shri Krishna Bhagwan recited the Gita to Arjun. 5,159 years ago. On the day of Ekadashi, which is today, today is called Mokshada Ekadashi in the month of Margashirsh, because the Hindu calendar is a lunar calendar. We calculate things according to the movement of the moon. So it's not a fixed day every year like December 25th or December 12th, whatever. According to the movements of the planets, the Tithi. So today is Ekadashi Tithi in the month of Margashirsh, Krishna Paksha. On this day, 5,159 years ago, Bhagwan Shri Krishna recited the Gita to Arjun at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. This Lord Shri Krishna, as we know him, is called Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. He is the teacher of the world, Jagat Guru, Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And so today I would like to chant a few shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, and hopefully this can re-energize us. And as Hindus, we have to do something to celebrate these great occasions. Gita Jayanti is very significant for Hindus because the Gita is the book of the day. The Gita is known by Hindus, non-Hindus, everyone it is known by. And it is a book of philosophy, it's a book of life, it's translated to a song of the divine. This book, of course, is the form of Shri Krishna himself. This beautiful Bhagavad Gita, what makes it so special is that when we chant it, we are actually reciting the words of the Lord himself. We're not reciting the words of a human being who interpreted the words of God. We are reciting the words of the Lord. Why? What is the Gita? Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanam Partho Vatsa Sudurbhukta Dugdham Gita Mritam Mahat. Sarva Upanishado Gavo. The Gita is Sarva Upanishad. The Gita comprises of 700 verses that are from the various Upanishads. Upanishads mean different scriptures. We have Kena Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, Katho Upanishad, Ganpati Upanishad, all these Chandogya Upanishad. So when the Lord stood at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he drew verses from all these Upanishads, all these great chantings, the Sastranam of Vishnu Bhagwan, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Parayupasade. He drew the verses from all these great scriptures and he placed it in Arjuna's ears. That became the Gita. Right? As I like to explain it, is like I'm narrating something to you here today. At the end of it, I'll narrate Ramayana, Gita, Upanishad, Veda, but when we put it all together, we call it Katha. That is why when you are reading the Upanishads, the Chandogya Upanishad and so on, the Vishnu Sahasranamam and so, you will find verses of the Gita in there. And when we find verses of the Gita in there, Manmana Bhavamat Bhakto Madhyaji Mang Namaskuru in the Upanishads, we wonder, did we take the verses of the Gita and put it in the Upanishads? No, it's the reverse. Sarva Upanishado Gavo. The Lord describes, he says, the Gita is like a gavo, it's like a cow that comprises all the Upanishads, the gems of the Upanishads. Dugdha Gopalanandana, and he is the milkman, the Lord Shri Krishna. He's milking the cow, which is the essence of all the Upanishads. He's milking the cow, right? That time you didn't have machine, you just milk it with your hand, like they do in Guyana, milk like this. And when you milk the cow, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is milking the essence of the Upanishads in the form of the Gita. He has to give that essence now, that milk, to someone. Who does he give it to? Partho Vatsa Sudurbhukta. He gives it to Partha. Who is Partha? Prathu Arjuna. He gives Partho Vatsa Sudurbhukta, and he gives it to Arjuna to drink. Dugdham Gita Amritam Mahat. And Arjuna drank the milk, which became Amrita, nectar. A little background on the Gita. It was recited at the midst of the battlefield. At the midst of the battlefield. We'll get into that in a little bit. So what happens here now? The Kauravas, meaning the bad cousins, 100 brothers plus their armies, they wanted to covet all the land. You know Mahabharata, right? Mahabharata is the foundation of the Gita. The Pandavas were exiled for 14 years, 13 plus 1 year incognito. And when they came back, their rights were deprived. There's a lot of technicalities. The Kauravas claimed that they were supposed to be incognito for 1 year, but then Arjuna showed himself, so that means they have to go back to the exile again. But there is a dispute as to what time the sun rose and what time the sun set. Mahabharata is a very, very detailed book. Apparently, Duryodhana is claiming that at the end of the 14 years, can you imagine this? Such a wicked cousin he was. They sent away the Pandavas. They spent 14 years in the exile. And the condition was they could only come back after 14 years. When they spend the last bit of it unseen, they cannot be seen. But then Arjuna showed up on the last day of the last year at sunset. He showed up on the last day of the last year in sunset. After 14 years, 365 days, he showed up the last day of the last year in sunset in front of Duryodhana. And they're claiming that he came back before sunset. So they have to go back 14 years. So, can you imagine this? What kind of intention they had? Is it the intention to send them to punish for 14 years? Or is it the intention to send them away so that they can covet the kingdom for 14 years? So the Pandavas put on their spine. They said, we're not going to go back. We come for our wealth. Duryodhana said, you want wealth? How much wealth do you want? He said, I want 5 villages of wealth. 5 gaon. For one brother must have 1 village of land. Duryodhana said, you want 5 villages of land? 1 village each for the brothers? I will not give you land which is equal to the eye of a needle. Eye of a needle. I cannot even imagine how you measure the eye of a needle. Duryodhana says, I will not give you land equal to the eye of a needle. Lord Krishna came in, tried to intervene, but they had to go to war. They went to choose to Krishna Bhagavan in Dwarka. Duryodhana went first, the evil cousin went first, and the Lord was sleeping. So imagine he was sleeping and he sat at the head side of Lord Krishna. Arjun came afterwards. Arjun came in second. But Arjun sat at the feet of the Lord. When the Lord is lying down like this, Duryodhana there here at the back, Arjun there right in front, the Lord opened his eyes like this. Are Arjun, nice to see you. What can I give you? Duryodhana is at the back. He felt very upset. He says, I was here before Arjun. How dare you ask him first? Krishna Bhagavan said, you came, but you sat behind me. Arjun sat at my feet. You get the message there, right? Anyways, he says, Arjun, ask me what you want. But here is the condition. You can ask me to be with you, or if you don't want me, you can take my army, the strongest army, powerful army in the world, the biggest army in the world. You can take them. They will fight for whoever. If you take me, however, I will not fight. I'll just be the charioteer and the advisor. Lord says, I'm not going to fight. So what happens now? Duryodhana is praying. Why he's praying? He's praying to Krishna in his mind so that Arjuna will ask for Krishna. Arjun says, Prabhu, Madhav, when you are with me, whether you have a weapon in your hand or you have a basuri in your hand, when you are with me, then everything can be accomplished. I want you, Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna says, you sure? Because I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to be there. I'm going to be useless. He says, no. Your presence alone is sufficient for me. And so what happens? When Duryodhana heard that, Duryodhana celebrated, Krishna, I want your whole army, I want everybody, I want all your weapons and your elephants and everything. Krishna says, go take. What is power without God? What is wealth without God? What are accumulations without God? They mean nothing if God is not on your side. There they are now, assembled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, chapter 1. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samveta yuyutsava mamaka pandavascheva kim kurvat sanjaya. They assembled at the midst of the battlefield. Dhritarashtra, who is the blind king, he asked his secretary Sanjay, who was in Hastinapur, miles and miles away. He said, Sanjay, what is going on? Dharma Chetre, Kurukshetra, what is going on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Sanjay says, Prabhu, O King Rajan, assembled in the field of Kurukshetra are the two brothers, the sons of the two brothers, Pandavas and the Kauravas. And he described exactly who was there. Remember, Sanjay was the first human satellite. He could be one place, but he knew everything that is going on. That was a blessing given to him. Anyways, so in chapter 1 of the Gita, everybody assembled at the mid of the battlefield. It's a beautiful place called Kurukshetra in the state of Haryana. If you go there today, that place is still there. They have so much history, documented history of how many soldiers fought in the battlefield, how many weapons were used, how many elephants were used, how many missiles were used, everything they have documented. This is not Nancy's story. Anyways, so what happens? Arjuna, he told Krishna, he says, Krishna Bhagavan, place me amidst the two armies so I can see who I'm going to fight against. No problem, Lord says, I'm your charioteer. The Lord placed him among the two armies. When he saw who he was going to face, Drishte mam swajanam Krishnaha, Drishte mam swajanam Krishna, Yuyutsam samupastitam, Sidanti mamagatrani mukham cha parishoshyati. Sidamta mamagatrani. Arjun saw Bhishma Pitamaha, his Aja, his grandfather. He saw Guru Dronachar, his guru. he saw his cousins. He says, how am I going to fight against these people? I grew up with them. Sidanti mamagatrani mukamja parishushati. His lips became parched and he lacked energy. Gandiva sansarate Krishna. His bow fell from his hands. And he says, Madhav, I cannot fight this battle. I cannot fight this battle at all. My body quivers as my hair stands on the end. The Gandiva bow slips from my hand, and my skin burns all over. Krishna, I am unable to stand. My mind whirls as it were, and Keshava, I see adverse omens. Arjuna started to cry like a little baby to Krishna Bhagwan. Like a weak man, I do not foresee any good ensuing from the slaughter of my family in battle. It's unique. Cousins fighting against cousins. We have that happening also today. But that was a big battle. Arjun says, I am not going to do that. I am not going to do that. And so the mighty Arjun spends the entire chapter 1 of the Gita. Whole chapter 1 he spends crying like a weak person to Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Now, what is going to happen? The sweet Krishna, the Adharam Madhuram Krishna, he is going to speak now. What is he going to speak? Who is Krishna? Adharam Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Hasitam Madhuram, Hridayam Madhuram, Gamanam Madhuram, Madhuradipate Rakhilam Madhuram. Everything about him is sweet. Everything about him is sweet. The way he walks, the way he speaks, the way he sings, the way he carries himself is sweet. How is he going to speak? The kids will sing the beautiful Madhurashtakam, glorifying Krishna Bhagwan on this beautiful day.
Adharam Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Hasitam Madhuram, Hridayam Madhuram, Gamanam Madhuram, Madhuradipate Rakhilam Madhuram, Madhuradipate Rakhilam Madhuram, Vachanam Madhuram,
such a sweet Lord, Shri Krishna. Everything about him is so sweet. What do you expect he is going to do now? He's standing in the middle of the battlefield. A question was asked to a yogi, how do you stay so strong and calm? The yogi says, I sit quietly in contemplation and it brings me strength. The question was asked to the yogi again, well, if it brings you strength, if you're in the middle of the battlefield, what are you going to do as you're a yogi? Are you going to sit and meditate? He says, no, I'm going to fight. Because if I sit and meditate there, I'm going to be killed. Bhagwan Shri Krishna shows us here now, from the sweet, gentle Shri Krishna, Adharam Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram, he has to become the teacher. He has to become the guide. He has to become the guru. And when you step into that shoe of the teacher, there are times when you have to be playful. There are times when you have to be childish. There are times when you have to be stern. There's times when you have to be firm. This is the Lord. Now, the Lord is going to speak for the first time in the Gita. So if there's anyone who say they know Gita very well, and they learn Gita, and they know, the whole thing, they know Gita by the head and thing, ask them how many verses Lord Krishna spoke in chapter 1 of the Gita. And they'll tell you, he's probably spoke a few verses, they don't remember. But the Lord did not speak in chapter 1 at all. Chapter 1 is called Arjuna Sambhada Yoga. The Lord is allowing Arjuna to utilize his abilities, his strength and his speech and mentally, but Arjuna has done everything and he falls into a depression in the middle of the battlefield. Imagine that. He falls in depression in the midst of the battlefield. So the Lord says, all right, you fell. Now it is my turn to lift you up. How is he going to do that though? Hey Arjuna, it's okay, it's all right, you can be depressed, you can be sorrow. No. Chapter 2, this is the first verse of Shri Krishna. First verse. Let's clasp our hands. Kutastva kashmalidam vishame samupastitam anaryajustam arjastvam akirtikaram arjunam anaryajustam astvargyam akirtikaram arjunam. The Lord says to Arjun, Arjun, from where has this unmanly, heaven-barring behavior and shameful dejection come upon you, Arjun? This behavior of yours is shameful for you, such a strong soldier, a kshatriya, a representative of your kul, your dynasty, your lineage. How, where has this behavior come from? Which cracks has it come through so that you can display this very heaven-barring behavior of yours at the midst of the battlefield? We all know this. We're all very calm and gentle people. But there are times in life when somebody is attacking you, you cannot be calm and gentle. You have to defend yourself. You have to defend yourself, right? Anybody here? I'm sure you've seen cats. I grew up with cats, right? I didn't grow up with tigers. I love them, watch them and thing. But I grew up with cats. When cats, when they want to transport their kitten, you know how they transport a kitten? They take their mouth and they lock the kitten out from the neck, right? It's like the kitten is like this. They lock it out from the neck, and they're walking, fetching the little kitten from here to there. And you know when the cat wants to eat things that they have to destroy with their mouth, like the rubbery things, it's the same tooth that they use, same mouth they use. The cat's teeth is so sharp. We had lots of cats. They were beautiful. They were big. I love cats very much. And they will come sometimes. Their pet. They'll take their tongue. Their tongue is like sandpaper. Very rough, because that's how they clean their skin. And sometimes they'll come and they'll, chat your finger and things like that, and they'll take their teeth, but they will never bite you. unless they're angry. It is amazing that the cat can take their teeth and lift their kitten like this from their neck and transport them to another place and not hurt them. But the same teeth they will take and they will eat things, to chew it to get into their gentle body. Amazing. The same guru has to be kind to the people, gentle to his students, and now be the ferocious one, the one to drive reality into Arjun's mind. From where has this behavior come, Arjun? That you stand here depressed at the middle of the battlefield. Klaibyam asma gama partha. This is chapter 2, verse 3. Klaibyam asma gama partha. Naitacharchu papadhyate. Shudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktotishta param tapar. Klaibyam means feeble. Yield not, O Arjun, to feebleness. The Gita is the book of life. Sometimes I say this, offends people, but Gita should not be only read when people die, but I think we think this. When I see somebody die, I can read some Gita now. Gita is not for the dead man. We get away with these things, but we have to learn. Gita is not for the dead. Gita is not for the dying, the dead person, at the funeral, at the wake. I think I should stop saying these things because people go offended sometimes. But it's the reality. Gita is not for the dead man or for the dying. They can do nothing with the Gita. Right? Panditji go and read the Gita at a wake. It is for the people who are sitting there. The dead person will never hear and can do nothing to them. Gita is for the living. When we are alive, we must listen to the Gita. When we are alive, we must digest the Gita. Because the Gita is a message of strength. The dead person can become strong. Right? That person cannot utilize the Gita to do anything. The Atma may have a little bit of peace. But the Gita is for the living. Read the Gita while you're alive. Listen to the Gita while you're alive. Because the Gita really drives you into reality. Klaibyam asmagama partha. Arjun, yield not to feebleness. It does not befit you. Cast off this pretty faint-heartedness. Wake up, O vanquisher of the foes. And so he started to inject in Arjuna now this nectar of devotion called the Gita. I'll browse through the Gita, my friends. That is chapter 2. That is Sankhya Yoga. Chapter 2 is called Sankhya. Sankhya means the philosophy of the Gita. Sankhya talks about Nayanam Chindanti Shastrani, Nayanam Dahati Pavaka, Nachainam Kledayantapo, Nashoshayati Marutaha. He says, Arjun, you're wondering about the people who are here, but they're already dead. You want to fight against them? The soul will never die, Arjun. You will just slay them in the battle. But Nainam Chindanti Shastrani. This is the chapter in which he talks about the Atma, the soul. And chapter 8 as well. The soul can never be born. The soul can never die. The soul cannot be blown away by the wind. Neither can it be burned by fire. The soul is indestructible. By the way, the soul, this word soul, I've said it many times. The word soul is used by the West. It is not a Hindu word. We call it Atma. Now, why is Atma different from the soul? Anybody knows? When the West or the Christian people tell you, may his soul, what does it say? May his soul rest in peace. Because they say, when you die in other faith, may the soul rest in peace. So they bury you and you gotta rest. In peace too. Only in peace. May your soul rest in peace. But we know the soul does not rest. The soul, najayate mriyate vakadachita. Gita. Right? Only that which is born has to die, and that which die has to born. But the soul does not take birth. The Hindu philosophy, soul, no. We use soul because we can relate to it. But the word is called Atma. Atma never born, Atma never dies. That is the difference. But for simplicity, everybody we say soul. I will say the soul doesn't die. Okay. Now he goes to chapter 3 of the Gita. Chapter 3 is called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means the yoga of action. You want to learn about the power of karma. There Arjuna is sitting, my friends, in the chariot. Bhagavan Shri Krishna froze the entire army. Nobody is hearing anything. So imagine if Duryodhan was laughing, ha 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 ha, when the Lord froze the army, ha ha. He was probably like this. You understand? Balaji, freeze. So he was probably like, all of them froze, the horses, everything. The wind froze. The only one who listened to the Gita was Arjuna. 3. The other person who listened to the Gita was who? Huh? Hanumanji. He was sitting on the chariot of the top of the chariot. He listened to the Gita. And the third who listened to the Gita is who? The Ashoka tree, the tree rather, not the Ashoka tree. The tree, the banyan tree that they were sitting under, he couldn't freeze. And that tree is still there today. After 5,159 years, the tree is still there. You guys went, right? Both of you? Good. It's called Gita Sar. All of them sitting on the stage, they went to see that tree. Shanti, you went? You didn't go. Auntie Kamal, you went? Gita Sar. You have a leaf too? But they say not to pick the leaf. But I picked the leaf too. Because the tree lived over 5,159 years and it's still there. You know, after the many invasions, the Mughal invasion and all these invasions, they bulldoze the tree, they put concrete over it, but the trees still keep coming up. You know why? Dugdha Gopalanandana Patho Vatsa Surir Bhukta Dugdham Gita Mritam Maha. Because the tree listened to the Gita, and whoever listens to the Gita, they become immortal. Your physical may go, but your consciousness is still there. That tree is still there today. So they decided, then call it the tree of immortality. That is still there today. That is still there today. And they made a sort of a chariot, a makeshift chariot, to demonstrate that that is where the Gita was narrated. Bhagavan Shri Krishna now demonstrates to Arjuna in chapter 3 of the Gita. This is called Karma Yoga. What does he say in Karma Yoga? O Arjuna, yadyada charati shreshta stattadeva rajo janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanuvartate. Whatever a great man does is followed by others. People go by the example he sets. Chapter 3 is all karma. What you do is what happens to you. But he says here, one of the verses, verse 21, is that whatever a great person does is followed by others. Which means, what defines greatness? What defines greatness? Right? Greatness, does it come with a title? Does it come with an award? Greatness comes in many ways. We can be great at simple things. We can be great at very simple things. You can be great as a sibling. You can be a great sibling, a great brother, a great sister. You can be a great student, right? Greatness is not only a perception, it's a demonstration of that perception. But the Lord is saying every one of us have some form of greatness in us. In chapter 3, he says, whatever is done by a great person, other people will follow. So everyone, please do good things, because you never know who's watching you and who will want to follow your life. Who will want to follow your life? That's chapter 3. Now we go to chapter 4 of the Gita. Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Jnana Karma Sannyas. It means to give up knowledge and actions in life. In this beautiful chapter, many beautiful shlokas are there, but let's look at one or two of them. He talks about knowledge, jnana. What is knowledge, Arjun? He's speaking to Arjun. Yathaidansi samidhognir bhasmasat kurute Arjunah jnanagnihi sarvat karmani bhasmashat kurute tatah. He says, Arjuna, nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitra mahi vidyate tatyam yoga samsiddha kale natma nivindati. As a blazing fire reduces fuel to ash, so does knowledge reduce ignorance, destroy ignorance and bring purity. He talks about the power of knowledge. Jai Hanuman Jnana Gunasagar. When you have knowledge, it is supposed to destroy ignorance, destroy the impurities, and let your pure self reveal. For that reason, Ma Saraswati dresses in white, because she signifies purity of knowledge. There is no purifier. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram mahividyate. There is no purifier in this world as knowledge, as powerful as knowledge, right? So all of us seek knowledge. Hindus are always seekers. We're not seek, we're seekers. But that seeking must purify us every single day. Chapter 4, he talked about how do you seek that knowledge. Now he goes to chapter 5. Chapter 5 is called Sannyasa Yoga. Sannyasa Yoga means one who has to give up. Sannyas. Right? So we talk about sannyasa now. What does he say in this beautiful chapter? Tadvridi pranipatena pariprapne shvisevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Seek that enlightenment by prostrating, by questions and by service. How do you seek enlightenment? You do not just sit like this and it comes to you. You don't just close your eyes and you meditate and think that enlightenment will come to you. He says, how do you do it? 3 ways. Tadvidhi pranipatena. You can seek enlightenment by prostrating, by questioning and by servicing. Prostrate yourself. Give yourself up in service to God. Lose yourself in service to people. That is one way. The second way, ask questions. Not to offend somebody, but to learn. And the third way is, of course, to serve. Like Shefari has served, like many others have served. Serve and you will be enlightened. We go to Dhyana Yoga, chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Uddaret Atman Atmanam. If you want to learn how to meditate, read the beginning of chapter 6 of the Gita. When meditation, the word dhyana means meditate, right? Dhyana. It's one of the angas of yoga, one of the limbs of yoga, called dhyana, then dharana, and so on. Anyways, there are so many. If you go to a meditation teacher today, they will tell you that every other meditation teacher doesn't know what they're teaching about meditation. Only their one works. We know this, and this is not criticizing anybody. But if we want to learn meditation, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Learn from the Lord himself. What does he say in the chapter 6 of the Gita? He tells Arjun, Arjun, you want to learn meditation. He told Arjuna how to sit. You must sit undisturbed. Where to sit, how to sit. Close your eyes, what should appear in front of you, what you should focus on. All this he said in chapter 6 of the Gita. Don't look too far for meditation tips. It is in the Gita. Meditation is when you can subdue yourself. Let yourself go. You know, if we all just be steady for a few minutes, meditation becomes meditation is not an input where we say, Close your eyes. You know, there's a little story where a man went to his guru and he says, tell me, what should I do to meditate? The guru said, you can't, if I tell you that you can't do something, that's exactly what you'll do. He says, no. Tell me what to do. Tell me what not to do. The Guruji said, okay, just close your eyes. Just close your eyes and says, I don't want to see monkeys, I don't want to see monkeys, I don't want to see monkeys. Right? The mind doesn't work like that. The mind is not equipped to delete. So he closes his eyes and all he's seeing is monkeys. Because he's telling himself, I don't want to see monkeys, I don't want to see monkeys. And that's all he's seeing. The mind, manmana bhava, it is not designed to delete. The mind is not designed to delete. The mind is only designed to add. What is in there already, you cannot delete. You cannot erase. So if you close your eyes and you're going to try to erase a thought from your mind, that is the thought that will be present. You must learn that. That is one of the mistakes in meditation. Try to think about something. You think about Krishna. Close your eyes and you see him in front of you, and when he is present, automatically nothing is present. Right? But if you try to delete monkeys from your life and delete work from your life, then only that will appear. Very simple. But in chapter 6 he says, Uddaretat manatmanam natmanam vazatadayet atmaiva atmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmana. One of my favorite verses of the Gita, chapter 6, verse 5. He says, Arjun, raise yourself by yourself. Raise yourself by yourself. Let a man raise himself by his own self. Let him not debase himself. It means do not put yourself down. You raise up your own self, because you are your own friend and you are your worst enemy. You are your own friend. You are your best friend. Everybody looking at me here and in the temple, you are your best friend and you are your worst enemy. That is how it is. There is not a best friend and worst enemy. We are it. So raise yourself up, because you are the only one who can do that, not anybody else. In chapter 6 it's called Jnana Yoga. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. And then he tells Arjuna in chapter 7 now, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, who are they that are drawn to me, O Arjun? Who are they that are drawn to me? This is a very popular verse. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna arto jigyasurartharti jnani cha bharatarshabha. Who are drawn to me? There are 4 types of people who are drawn to me. In chapter 7 he says. Arjuna is listening because Arjuna has to fuel up. He is depressed. You listen to the Gita, depression will go. 4 types of people who come to me, Arjuna. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritun. Arjuna, who are they? Artho jigyasur artati jnani. Artho means those who those who seek to remove their sickness. Artha comes from the word arti, like arti. When you arti, you're removing the najar, you're removing the pains and things. Anyways, those who are sick, they come to me. Prabhu, help my knee, help my waist, help my health, whatever it is. Artho jigyasur. Jigyasur, those who seek to remove their ill health, those who seek knowledge, those who seek wealth, and those who want to seek wisdom. 4 types of people come to my life. So the Lord Arjun says, Prabhu, which one of the 4 people are dearest to you? He says, Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta. He says, I love all of them. But you see, the one who prays to me for wisdom, those are close to me. Because when the one who get wealth, they will forget about me. The one who when a knee cure, they'll forget about me. When a calf go away, they'll forget about me. But you see, the ones who are wise, they will always remember me. That is chapter 7 of the Gita. Then we go to chapter 8 of the Gita, and this is called Akshar Brahma Yoga. Brahma Yoga, the knowledge of the divine himself. Akshara Brahma Yoga. And he tells Arjuna a little bit about the mind here, chapter 8. Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanyagamina Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Parthanuchittayan. With the mind, O Arjuna, not wandering after anything else, made steadfast in yoga on constant practice, he who meditates on the supreme, resplendent Krishna, they reach him. You see, talks about meditation here as well. Those who meditate on him. On him. Meditation is not losing anything. Meditation is meditate on him. He says in chapter 8, verse 8, this is easy to remember. Chapter 8, verse 8, those who meditate on me, they reach me. In that verse, he convinces Arjuna that he is the supreme, or at least he tries. And in chapter 9, Rajavidya. Rajavidya means the knowledge of the kings. High knowledge. What does he say here? Who disregard him? Who will disregard Krishna? Who will not listen to him? This comes from chapter 9 rather, verse 11. Avajjanti mang mudha manushi tanumakshritam Param bhavajamajjanto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajjananti mang mudha. The word mudha means fool. Only the fools, O Arjuna, will disregard me. Only the fools will say, I do not exist or I am not important. Only the fools, Arjuna, will say that I am insignificant in their life. Only the fools, I'm repeating his word, only the fools may say that I'm clad in a human form. Manushi tanumakshitam. Manushi. Manush. Huh? Only the fools will say Krishna was just a boy, or Ram was just a man, and Parshuram was just an angry Brahman. Only the fools will disregard me clad in a human form. Not knowing my higher nature, we have to elevate our knowledge, my friends. And in chapter 9, he convinces Arjuna of those. One of the things he says is that those are the people. Now, that is half of the Gita, chapter 9. Please remember Bhagavan Shri Krishna as well. Bhaje vraje kamandalam samasta papakam. Bhagavan Shri Krishna, there is a beautiful chanting called the Krishna Ashtakam, which the kids will sing now. And in this beautiful chanting, it tells us about the mandalam. This entire world is a mandala, is a circle in which we are living. The kids will sing afterwards. We begin the next half of the Gita. Remember, this is nectar. Gita is nectar, and those who listen become immortal.
Bhaje vraje kamandalam samasta papakandalam. Bhaje vraje kamandalam samasta papakandalam. Swabhakta chidaranjanam sadeva
Bolle Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki Jai. That was a beautiful Krishna Ashtakam done by the youths of this temple. 3 of my daughters, of course, Bhumika, and of course the 2 sisters. They are children of this temple, Jaya and Ina, or Brittany and Brianna as you know them as. And so nicely done this evening with so much love and devotion. This is a very complicated chanting, all in Sanskrit, and they have sang it so beautiful. I think we should give them all a big round of applause. A few people in the temple, and of course all of you, hundreds of people watching online. Thank you for taking your Saturday evening in the month of December and dedicating it to our children. And of course they were ably backed up by the magical fingers on the tabla. Bhaje Braje Kamandalam Samasta Papakanjalam. This is beautiful Krishna Ashtakam dedicating to Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So he finished the Lord finished 9 chapters of the Gita, and Arjuna asked him, after 9 chapters, Arjuna asked him, who are you? Who are you? After 9 chapters. You think that he'd ask Arjuna this, Arjuna would ask him at the beginning. He said, no, who are you? And then in chapter 10 of the Gita, if you want to learn about who Krishna is, then you read chapter 10 of the Gita. You want to know him? Read chapter. He says, well, very well, Arjun. You want me to tell you who I am? I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm going to tell you who I am. And chapter 10, verse 30. Ahabatma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Shayastita Ahamadischa Madhyam Cha Bhutanamantayevacha. But where can I be found, Arjun? I am the self. I am the self, Gudakesha, O Arjun. And where am I? Where can I be found? Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Shayastita. Sarvabhuta, I can be found in every creature on this human being. I can be found in the hearts of all beings. The Lord says where He is, not in the eye, not in the head, not in the toe. He is in the heart. That's why we always say, Prabhu, I offer my heart to you. That's why we give the Lord a lotus. That's why we give the Lord a hibiscus. That's why we give the Lord a carnation flower. Because we cannot pluck our heart out because we'll be dead. So we give the Lord a flower. Prabhu, this is where He sits. This is where He sits. And we think of heart as a physical place. But the place where that organ resides, without it which we cannot live, that's where He is. It means without Him, survival is not possible. He tells Arjun who He is in chapter 10. It goes, of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of the luminaries the radiant sun I am Marichi of the Maruts, of the asterisms I am the moon, of the Vedas I am Samam, I am Vasava among the Devas, of the senses I am the mind, and among living beings I am consciousness. So this Gita is very deep. It's amazingly deep. If you read this verse here, I have been studying Gita since I was a child. I still study the Gita, and I will never stop studying the Gita. Let me ask you a question here. When you read this, you may want to say, among the Vedas I am Samam, Riksam Yajarevacha, I am Vas among the Devas, of the senses I am the mind, and of the living beings I am consciousness. What caught your ears there just now? What caught your ears there just now? Among the senses I am the mind. But we all know we have 5 senses. And it's got nothing to do with the mind. The sense of touch, the sense of hear, the sense of, But we don't know that, we've never heard that there is a 6th sense called the mind. Aha. This is the depth of the Gita. This is how beautiful it is. Among the senses, I am the mind. So there is a 6th sense. We say it casually. My 6th sense is telling me not to do it. Right? You know when somebody dies, how many pindas you do on the funeral day? How many pindas? 6. 5 is to return the 5 elements back, and 6 is for the 6th sense. The mind, mana. Mind follows the soul. Mind and karma follows the atma from birth after birth. Among the senses, I am the mind. Anyways, he continues. Gita is so beautiful. And chapter 10, Rudranam Shankaraschasmim Vittasho Yaksha Rakshasa Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikharinayaham. Among the Rudras, I am Shankara. How many Rudras are there for Shivji Bhagwan? How many forms of Rudra? Ekadash Rudra, 11 forms. Bhima Rudra, Shankara Rudra, all his Rudras. Among all the Rudras, I am Shankara. I am Shankara, the most powerful of all the Rudras. He continues and he says, and then in chapter 11, he says, Prabhu, show me your form. Show me your form, Prabhu. Evame tatyatmanam parmeshwaraha. The Lord says, Arjun, you want to see my form? Here is it. But you cannot see it with your naked eyes. You have to have the eyes of wisdom. We can look and we can look, but we'll never see the Lord if we are looking at Him as the simple Lord. And that's when the Lord blessed Arjuna. Darshan do ghan sham nath more akhiya pyasi re. Everybody know this song? It was inspired from chapter 11 of the Gita. Inspired from chapter 11 of the Gita. What is Arjuna saying? Arjuna saying, Darshan do ganesham nath more. Let me ask you a question. How can Arjuna be standing in front of Krishna and yet begging for his presence? Right? How can that happen? Let me ask you another question. How can the closest people to God be the most distant from Him? Because we all think that closeness involves proximity. That's what we thought. That's what we think. That's the essence of Gopi Geet. When Krishna tell all the people in the Bhagavatam, remember? When he's blowing the flute, all of them left their husband and their cow and everything and come. Krishna Bhagavan says, no, love has nothing to do with proximity. We all think that being close to Bhagavan physically, it means we are close to the Lord. In proximity, it means we're close to the Lord. No. Lord says, that's not it. Arjuna stood in front of Sri Krishna and he's saying, Krishna, show me, give me your darshan. Give me your darshan. And that's because he couldn't see Krishna Bhagavan in his Sahasra Shirusha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. He couldn't see the Lord because he's looking with the simple eyes. When you look at people with just your eyes, you will see lustful forms. You will see material forms. But when you look with the eye of love, eye of devotion, you will see a divine form in someone. So he begs Krishna, Darshan do ghan sham nath more akhiyan pyasi re. Darshan do ghan sham
नाथ मोरे अखियाँ प्यासी रे
darshan do मन मंदिर की ज्योत जगा दो, मन मंदिर की ज्योत जगा दो, घट घट वासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरे अखिया प्यासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्याम। मंदिर मूरत तेरी, फिर भी न देखी सूरत तेरी। मंदिर मंदिर मूरत तेरी, फिर भी न देखी सूरत तेरी। युग बीते नाई मिलन की, युग बीते नाई मिलन की। पूर्णमासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरे, अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो
घनश्याम।
द्वार दया का जब तू खोले, पंचम सुर में गूंगा बोले। द्वार दया का जब तू खोले, पंचम सुर में गूंगा बोले। अन्ना देखे लंगरा चल कर, अंधा देखे लंगरा चल कर, पहुँचे काशी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरे, अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम। पानी पीकर प्यास बुझावो, नैनन को कैसे समझावो। पानी पीकर प्यास बुझावो, नैनन को कैसे समझावो। आँख मिचोली चोरो अब तो, आँख मिचोली छोरो अब तो, मन की बासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरे, अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरे, अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरे, अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम। पानी पीकर प्यास बुझा को, नयनन को कैसे समझा दो। When the body is thirsty, we can drink water and quench that thirst. But how do you explain that to the eyes? When the eyes are thirsty, how do you quench the thirst of the eyes? Huh? How do you do that? Darshan do Ganesham Nath More. The song is inspired by chapter 11, verse 3. Evametadyatyatam tatmanam parameshwarah drishtvam ichhami te rupam aishwaryam purushottamam manyase yadi tatchakyam maya drustumiti prabho yogeshwaram tato me tvam darshayatmanam avyayam. Manyase, O Lord, if you think it is possible. Here is how Arjuna comes down from this depressed person to a devoted. He says, you know, all of us go say, Prabhu, give me this and give me that. Prabhu, show me your form. Arjuna says, no. Manyase yadi takchaktvam maya drishtum miti Prabhu. Says Krishna Bhagavan, if you think it is possible, only if you think it is possible, then please, my Lord, then do, O Lord of the Yogi, Yogeshwara tato me tvam darshayatmanam avyayam. O Lord Shri Krishna, then and only then, please show me your form if you think that I can see it. God is not our servant, my friends. We are the servant of the Lord. You don't get to command the Lord and tell him what to do. That is the Lord. That is Shri Krishna. You don't get to tell him, give me this and give me that and show me this and show me that. No. We say, Manyase yadi, if it is possible, my Lord. This is a beautiful, I love Gita, of course. I'm biased to Shiva, as you know, but I don't bias to Shiva. He's, I don't know. But Gita is so beautiful if you spend the time with it, right? You spend the time with it. How do you ask God for something? You say, Prabhu, if you think it is possible, please give it to me. So much love he has in his heart now. When Sri Krishna Bhagavan heard that, what happened now? Chapter 11, same chapter 11. This verse, this chapter is, in my opinion, well, for me, it is my favorite chapter in the Gita. Chapter 11 is undoubted. I've said it so many times, my favorite chapter. You know why? Because this is the chapter that is called the Vishwarupa Darshan. Vishwarupa Darshan. This is the chapter when Shri Krishna gives his Vishwarupa, to his divine form. He presents his divine form to Arjuna. And when Arjuna begged the Lord, Prabhu, if you think it's possible, the Lord said, of course. Pashyame partha rupani shatashotha sahasrashah nana vidhani divyani nana varna kriti nacha sama gama Pashyame partha rupani. Behold my forms, O Partha, behold my forms. The Lord is happy that somebody wants to see him. The Lord is very happy. Look at this. Somebody wants to see me. Somebody wants to see my godly form. In this world today, how many people want to see the divine form of God? How many of us are thirsty? Pani pi kar pyas bujha do, nayan na kok kaise samjha do. How many of us are thirsty? Oh my God, today is Saturday. I'm so thirsty. My eyes are so thirsty to see Hanumanji at the temple. I have to go. Tomorrow is Sunday. Oh, Sunday morning service. The thirst of my eyes will not be quenched until I come to temple and see the forms of my Lord. I have to go. Monday, my eyes will be so thirsty to see Bholenath Bhagavan. I will not quench the thirst of my eyes unless I see Bhagavan Bholenath. I have to go. Hey? How many of us have the thirst to see the Lord? Here the devotee says, Prabhu, please show me if you so think it's possible. The Lord feels happy. Someone wants to see me. Someone has a desire to see me. So I must reveal myself to them. I must reveal myself to them. But mark this, my friends, Arjuna didn't make this request at the beginning. Chapter 1, he makes it in chapter 11. Of course, we know 11 is a very powerful number. It's a very special, devoted number. It's a very divine number. 11, chapter 11, the Lord revealed himself. And he says, Arjun, I have to give you the divine eye. Pashyame partha rupani, because natu mam shakyate drishtum aneneva kachachchupaha divyam dadamite takchu pashyame yogameshwaram. You cannot see me with these eyes of yours because those are naked eyes. Those are the eyes you see warriors with. Those are the eyes you see people with. Those are the eyes you see flowers with. Those are the eyes, the same eyes you use to admire beauty of the world. You cannot see me with that, Arjun. I have to give you the eyes of divinity. Behold my supreme form. And oh, when he gave Arjun that those eyes of devotion, those eyes of divinity, Arjun, of course, admired the Lord. It's not an eye that you can go buy, my friends. Don't even think about that. It's a sight that has to be given as a blessing of the Lord. That blessing is a darshan. Going on to chapter 12, we can spend all our birth on Gita. Chapter 12 is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means the yoga of devotion. This is the chapter of the devotees. This entire chapter is dedicated to the devotees. My friends, it talks who is the devotee of the Lord. Please read chapter 12 if you want to understand who is a devotee of the Lord. Bhakti Yoga. One verse I'll read for you. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karunaye bacha nirmamo nirahamkara samadukha sukhakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma ditanishchayah mayarpitam mano buddhiryo madbhakta same priyah. Who are my devotees? My devotees is he who hates no being. He who hates no being. You don't hate the grasshopper, you don't hate the cockroach, you don't hate the mosquito, you don't hate the people. Right? He who hates no being, who's friendly and compassionate to all, who is free from all feelings of I and mine, even-minded in pain and pleasure and forbearing, ever content, steady in meditation, self-controlled and possessed of firm conviction, with mind and intellect fixed on me. He, my devotee, is dear to me. Chapter 12, my friends, tells us the qualifications of a devotee. He by whom the world is not afflicted. Are you giving pain to the world? Because if you are, you're not a devotee of God. He by whom the world is not afflicted, and whom the world does not afflict. The world should not cause you pain. He who is free from joy and anger, fear and anxiety, he is dear to me. That is my devotee. And of course he goes on. He neither rejoices nor hates, nor grieves nor desires, renouncing good and evil, full of devotion. That is my devotee. Please read chapter 12 of the Gita if you want to understand about your qualifications to be a devotee. In this life, you have to be qualified for everything. You have to be qualified to be a janitor, and you have to qualify to be a doctor as well. You have to be qualified. In chapter 13, he talks now about some qualities. He talks about self-control. This is, of course, Mahatma Gandhi's chapter, where he told the world about humility, modesty, and non-injury. Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Amanityam anambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam saucham shairyam atma vinigraha. Arjun, humility, modesty, non-injury, forbearance, uprightness, service to the Guru, purity, steadfastness, self-control. These, O Arjuna, are the qualities of a human being. When we are a human being, my friends, or if you think you are, you must be all above all forms of life in terms of your behavior, right? It is the dog's work to go and to beg for food and to steal things from people. It is the bird's habit to fly in and peck and fly out. Those are animal behaviors, right? Animals are born on the street, they live on the street, they have children on the street, and they die on the street. We're evolved human beings, right? Today, animals, by the way, are curing human beings, right? They are Certain animals like dogs and cats, they take them specially to meet depressed people. They bring joy to people when we are supposed to be protecting them. That's chapter 13, some of the things he talked about. Now we go to chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. What does he say in chapter 14? Om E manapamanayo stanya stunyalyo mitra pikshayo sarvarambha parityago gunatita sa uchyate. It's the same in honor and dishonor, the same to friend and foe, abandoning and all undertakings. He's set to rise above the gunas. The Lord is telling you how to rise above everything. We are drowning today in this time that we are living in. Small people drown in the opinions of others. We are small people when we discuss people. We are great people when we discuss ideas. We are small when we discuss people. That's body, this body, whatever. But we are great when we discuss ideas. Today, we are suffocating. We are suffocating in our own self. We are drowning in our own self because we cannot rise above the small things of life. The Lord is saying, the same in honor and dishonor. Whether someone try to honor or dishonor you, be the same. The same to friend and foe. Enemy come, friend come, you are the same. You're happy, you're gentle, you're smiling. Abandoning all undertakings, he is said to have risen above the gunas. The gunas are the qualities of life. To rise above the gunas, my friends, you cannot live below them. That is the essence of chapter 15. In chapter 14. In chapter 15 now, he defines the Jiva Atma. The Jiva Atma means the Atma of the human being. He says, Mamevangsho Jiva Loko Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Mana Shashtani Nindriyani Prakrita Sthani Karjatihi. He says, an eternal portion of myself, having become the Jiva, in the world of the Jiva, attract the senses, with the mind as the six abiding in Prakriti. This is a very key verse. Chapter 15, verse 7. A part of me, an eternal portion of myself. How I like to describe this, Jiv Atma and Paramatma. Paramatma is God. Paramatma is God, right? So as I always explain it, and I have to do this because repetition is a great way of teaching and learning. Paramatma is God. So God is this big ball of fire high up. Imagine that. Big ball of fire. So the Lord realizes that there need to be a little bit of light in Brampton. So what does he do? He sends down a little, bit of that fire down that becomes a light, and that light is in Brampton here, in the form of people. One here, one there, but the ball of fire still remains powerful, and all these little lights are now lighting up. This is Paramatma, and this is Jiv Atma, the little lights that are in Brampton, Mississauga, all over the world, in the form of the human soul, human Atma, that is called Jiv Atma. That the Lord is saying, you, the Jiv Atma is a portion of himself. This is the Gita, the philosophy of the Gita. Which means we are all portions of the Lord. Chapter 15, verse 7 tells you, you are a portion of God. I am a portion of the Lord. I have come from him. I am a Jiv Atma. He's the Paramatma. So with me, the Lord says, unfortunately, what happens? When we come into this Jivatma, Mamevamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. A portion of myself, having become the Jiva in the world, a portion of him comes down now. But what happens? There's godly qualities because I've come from God. But by harnessing the sixth sense, which is the mind, we start to get attracted to sensual objects. We forget about where we come from. It's like a lot of people sometimes, we forget about where we come from and we pay no attention to it, and we have become somebody else. We forgot our country, we forgot our people, we forgot our roots, we forgot our culture, we forgot our neighbors, we forgot the simple things that help to raise us into who we are, and we have been transformed into something else or someone else because we were exposed to things around us. This is the beautiful Gita, my friends. This here is it's an ocean of gems, right? The Lord says, the eternal portion of myself have become the jiva in the world. Through the mind, we are attracted to the things we see. And when that happens, my friends, then we are lost. We are lost. Imagine we have come from Paramatma, but we have forgotten Him. We have forgotten Him. Once in a while we remember Him, but we have truly forgotten Him, and we are attracted to the things He has created. So this chapter teaches us to wake up. Wake up, my friends, and remember your Creator. In chapter 16, he talks about casting off. What are you going to cast off? Actually, he talks here as well. Let me see. My favorite verse is chapter 16, verse 21. It talks about the three gates of hell. What are the three gates of hell? Trivadam narakasyedam dwaram nashanatmana kamakrodhas tatha lobhastam tasmadeta trunayam swajet. Trividam narakasyedam. Trividam means three. Narakasyedam, three gates to hell. What are they? Lust, anger, and greed. He says these three gates will take you straight to Narak. When you are lustful, I think we all know what that means. When you are greedy, I think you all know what that means. And when you are angry as well, we all know what that means. When you experience these three gates which are within you, please don't go through them. Don't open the door of anger. You're going straight. And if you believe there is a hell or a heaven, that's not the point here. You are living right on it. You will experience hellish behaviors, hellish experiences. Don't go through these doors. Lust, anger, and greed, chapter 16, verse 21, the Lord says, those are the three gates to Narak. In chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord talks so much about everything. But one of my favorite things is when He talks about Hari Om Tat Sat. When He talks about Hari Om Tat Sat, D. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Om Tat Sat iti naradestu brahmanas trivida smrata brahmanastena vedascha yagyascha vihita puraha. Demerits turned into merits. He talks about the power of Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat, that's a prayer by itself. Om is chanted before every prayer to beg forgiveness. Om is God. Om is a form, a symbol, a song. Tat, he talks about, therefore, with the utterance of Om are the acts of sacrifice, gifts, and charity, and enjoined in the scriptures, always undertaken by the followers of the Vedas. Tat,
when we utter tat, it means without aiming at the fruits are the acts of sacrifice. Om tat. So the way how I like to interpret this, imagine tat as that. That. Do not aim your actions at that, because when you do, I'm doing this puja because I want that. When you aim your actions at an object, it will not be fulfilled. Tat, without aiming. Sat is used as a sense of reality and of goodness. And so also, O Arjuna, the word sat is used in the sense of an auspicious act. Sat, right? So Om, the divine, tat. That means that action, that object, I don't want to achieve it with my action. If it comes, it comes. Sat means a sense of auspiciousness. Om tat sat. Om tat sat. That is what he talked about, and many other things of chapter 17, but that is my favorite part of it. And in chapter 18, the final chapter, he talks about the three qualities. Among many things, he talks about the caste system, which, by the way, is a beautiful discussion as well. Lord Sri Krishna created the caste system. He created the caste system as per Gita. Why did he create the caste system? Today, this is what I'm going to end with, because in school, especially when our children go to school, they learn about the caste system. And that is something in Hinduism that separates people. It is existing. It is true, there is a caste system, but it has nothing to do with hierarchy. Brahmanas are the highest, Vaishyavas are the lowest. No. The Lord created the caste system to structure society. People were married in their own caste because, if you were a goldsmith daughter and you grew up in a goldsmith home, your daddy was a goldsmith and you make gold whole day and you sell gold and whatever it is. Obviously, if you are married into a goldsmith home now, you go over and become a goldsmith daughter-in-law, it will be easier for you to transition into that life. But if a goldsmith daughter marries a blacksmith son, there's a whole bunch of problem there. Similarly, if you are the daughter of someone who's learning the Vedas all day and you're learning the scriptures all day and chanting mantras all day, and you get married into a home of the same caste that chant Vedas, scriptures, Puranas, it's an easy transition. But if you go now married into the home of a butcher, what happens? Your whole life, it doesn't work. That's the simplest I can put the caste system down. So, nothing is wrong with the caste system, you just have to understand how it is. Nobody is high, nobody is low. The Brahmanas, who are the closest to Brahmanusya Mukhamasi, preaching God, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Om Namah Shivaya whole day, they have to depend on the Vaishya to cook food for them. Otherwise, their belly got born or die. The Brahmanas and everybody else have to depend on the Kshatriyas to defend them. Right? So all of us, we have a role in this world. Chapter 18 talks about that, and chapter 18 talks about the three types of happiness: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. I'll read one verse for you as we conclude. And it says, what is tamasic happiness? Yadagre cha anubandhe cha sukham mohanamatmana nidralayasya pramadotyam tamamasya buddhahatam. Tamasic happiness is that which seeks sweet at the first. It tastes sweet at the first, but it turns out to be bitter. So now if you get a little rash in your hand here, you scratch and feel nice. Right? Feels nice. Oh, it feels so good itching this. But afterwards, it starts to bleed. That is called tamasic happiness. It's the worst. It tastes like nectar at the first, and afterwards it turns out like poison. Anything that looks too good to be true, it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. Right? Happiness is a working process. Happiness is an investment. So tamasic happiness, it tastes like nectar for us, but tastes like poison afterwards. Rajasic happiness, the second mediocre level of happiness, is a mixture of both. Sattvic happiness, what happens? It's like poison in front, but the nectar is at the end. Ask any university students how hard they have to study, travel, the investment of time, learning, burning the midnight oil, late nights, early morning exams. It looks like hell for them. It's so poison for them. But you see, when they graduate after the 4 years with a bachelor's degree, laughing and smiling. That's called sattvic happiness. You tell anybody to go on a treadmill in the gym to go run. I'm running, I'm not getting anywhere from the gym. What am I doing? Of course you're not getting anywhere because you're on a treadmill. But if you do it constantly, lift those dumbbells, run on the treadmill, afterwards you will find there's pleasure and there is nectar in it. He talks in chapter 18 about the 3 types of happiness. And that, my friends, we have spent almost 2 hours summarizing at least 1 or 2 verses from the Gita. In the last verse of the Gita, he says, Yatra yogeshwara Krishna, yatra patho dhanurdhara, tatra Sri Vijayo bhutir dhruva nitir matir mama. Wherever there's Krishna and wherever there's Arjuna, there will always be victory over all overwhelming sorrows. May Bhagwan Shri Krishna be in your life. May the Gita be in your life. You must have a Gita in your life. You must have a Gita in your life. My advice to you is to get a Gita that you can connect with. Get a Gita. It may be a pocket Gita. It may be a big Gita. It may be your Gita. This one here is very old Gita, as you can see. Have a Gita in your life. But don't have a Gita, tell somebody, I have a Gita. Or I have one by Chit Bhavananda like Pandit Harinat Gita. No. That's not the point. Have a Gita so you can live the Gita. You can read it and you can live the Gita every day. The Gita is still alive. The Gita will always be alive, because when devotion is alive and commitment is alive, the Gita will always be there. Today is Gita Jayanti, 5159th birthday of the Gita, and we celebrate the Gita Jayanti at the temple. You have to do that. Of course, in the month of December, it's cold. Everybody is all over the place, which is okay. Nothing wrong with that. But we have to do our job to set the standards for the next generation. That do not forget your Gita. Embrace it each day. I hope and pray that this 10,000 feet level summary of the Gita will inspire you to live the Gita. What we have discussed this evening is a verse each, at least, from each of the chapters. We have read it in the temple with the hope that it will inspire you in some way. Bole Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. Thank you all very much for being here, those who are in the temple. I want to thank the kids very much, Brittany and Brianna, Bhumika and Bhuvan, for being here this evening. I know they have so much commitments with work and school and everything else, but they managed to be here. We have a large number of youths and kids in the temple, of course, but they all are very busy people. I know that. Most of them now are in university, and university is a full-time job without any payment until after 4 years. So I know they couldn't be here, but my love and affection are always with them. Let us stand, please, for Aarti. यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मान्तरकृतानि च तानि सर्वाणि नश्यन्तु प्रदक्षिणां पदे।
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे भक्त जनों के संकट
माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिविरध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथं गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुविष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः हसतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम। प्रेम से बोलो उमापति महादेव की, पवन सुत हनुमान की, सियावर रामचंद्र की, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। सबको जय जय सीताराम। Shubhratri everyone, good night. See you tomorrow morning at the temple. If you're coming tomorrow morning at the temple, we wear silly socks. So wear our funny socks or something, because it's funny time of the year, happy time. So we can see you then. Thank you. Shubhratri, good night.